time set for the prelim in this matter. So may I have appearances beginning with our guardian ad litem?
Yes, Your Honor. Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem for Mackenzie and Matthew, who are here today too.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Jones.
Amanda Jones, CPS investigator from the department.
Nicole Underwood on behalf of the mother, Tracy Browning, who is appearing via Zoom.
Okay, I don't see that she's logged in.
Yes, that's
All right. Your name for the record, please.
Tracy Browning.
Thank you so much. All right, Ms. Heiss, let's start with you on comments about our sidebar.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. In each case, we look at individual kids separately and each family separately, so that there has been a concept of collaborating with all the information that might be presented as a defense, all the information of the different witnesses that we have in the petition, and the kids' opinions don't come through to me in the petition. So I would request a 2-week delay so that I can investigate some of those things to make sure that this family has the best outcome for them. So I think that's mostly what we talked about from my perspective.
Comments, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you, Honor. I agree with Ms. Heiss and what was discussed during the sidebar. There was also some discussion regarding the risk of harm to these children and whether or not an NA case needs to proceed. And in part, that has an ancillary component in the custody matter, which I believe Ms. Underwood can speak as well. Thank you. And so we are, in short, we are in agreement with the adjournment. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes, good afternoon, Your Honor. There is a custody file on this matter, and currently there's an ex parte order giving the father custody of the minor children. We believe that this matter could be resolved through the custody file, but we're also respectful of the position that the department has, and that Ms. Heiss wishes to fully investigate the interests of the children and some of the additional allegations in the petition. So we're also in agreement that an adjournment is appropriate in this case.
Thank you. I believe you've all covered it. I don't have anything to add. No official orders issued in this case. I've looked at it, but I have not decided whether or not to authorize it. I think that would be best. That's a decision I would like to make, perhaps at the next juncture, for all the reasons that were expressed today, frankly. So we'll let Ms. Heiss conclude her investigation and have a look at the case a little more seriously, now that she has all the information. And we'll be back together on September 5th at a preliminary hearing on this petition. I've had the pleasure of talking with the attorneys for a few minutes before we got started to understand that we need to have the preliminary hearing today. And then based on that, if the petition is authorized, then we'll look at further dates for pretrial and trial. I'll invite anyone else to put any comments on the record about sidebar after appearances.
Lee Heiss, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Good morning, Your Honor. William Amadeo, P76194 for the department. To my left is one of my workers, Amanda Jones.
Amanda Jones from the department.
Ms. Underwood.
Underwood on behalf of the mother, Tracy Browning.
Thank you. Counselors, any comments about the sidebar before we get started?
Thank you, Your Honor. Basically, we're going to run a prelim today. I do understand Ms. Underwood's position that she does not feel termination is warranted. I did speak to my workers at your instruction that have instructed me to proceed with the termination at this juncture. I believe Ms. Underwood's going to request a trial at some point if we get past preliminary stage. She does not know if she'll want a jury or bench trial at this point. I did say, well, at your discretion, I would waive statutory timeframes to make that decision. I think that sums up my end, Judge.
Okay. Any comments, Ms. Underwood?
No, Judge, that's an accurate representation.
Ms. Heiss?
No further comments. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Underwood, do you want to speak on behalf of your client as to some of the questions that we need to answer for prelim, or would you like me to swear her in and ask her directly?
Judge, you may swear her in and ask her directly.
Okay. Ms. Browning, do you have a copy of the petition?
I don't have it in front of me.
But did you receive a copy of it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. You have the right to have each and every paragraph of that petition read onto the record, or you also have the right to waive that. Would you like me to read it, or would you like to waive that right?
You can read it. That's fine.
Okay. Part of the reason we are here this morning, just to set the stage a bit, is to determine whether or not the petition should be dismissed, or if the matter should be referred to alternative services, or if it should be authorized and continue forward. And that, of course, is based on whether or not there's probable cause to authorize the petition as to any of these allegations, which I'm about to go through on the record. The first page outlines simply the names and addresses of the children as well as the parents in this case. Would you like me to read through that, Ms. Browning?
No, it's fine, Judge.
All right. The second page indicates that there is one or more pending or resolved cases within the jurisdiction of the Family Division of the Circuit Court involving the family. Is that the only case that you're aware of, Ms. Browning, that would concern your children, or are there any others?
That's all I know. I don't,
Okay. That's fine. I need to ask you that question anyway. All right. Further allegations under paragraph 4 indicate that the named children would come within the provisions of MCL 712A.2B1 through 6. And the boxes that are checked indicate the parent or other person legally responsible for the care and maintenance of the children, unable to do so, neglected or refused to provide proper or necessary support, education, medical, surgical, or other care necessary for the children's health or morals, or he or she has subjected the children to a substantial risk of harm to his or her mental well-being, or he or she has abandoned the children without proper custody or guardianship. The other allegation of statutory violation is indicated as the home or environment by reason of neglect, cruelty, drunkenness, criminality, or depravity on the part of the parent, guardian, non-parent, adult, or other custodian is an unfit place for the children to live. Paragraph 5 indicates the reasons why it is contrary to the welfare of the children for the children to remain in the home are: respondent mother failed to protect children from physical and sexual abuse perpetrated against them by her boyfriend, Larry Sutherland. There is currently an ex parte order which safeguards the physical well-being of the children at this time, but there remains a substantial risk of harm to the children's psychological well-being. Paragraph 6 indicates the reasonable efforts made to prevent the removal of the children include CPS investigations, Al-Anon groups, AA, Catholic Charities, probation, family team meetings, friend of court orders, TAMI rates, Lenawee County CMH, and family counseling and children's services. Paragraph 7 indicates an attachment for essential facts that constitute the offense against the children under the Juvenile Code. And 8 requests the court to authorize the petition, issue an order removing the children, and terminate the parental rights of the mother to both children concerned in this case, whose initials are MG and MG. The petition was signed by Anastasia Thomas, Ms. Amanda Jones from the department. I declined to conduct an inquiry on the petition and simply set it for a preliminary hearing today to determine whether or not there is probable cause to proceed further. The addendum indicates addendum petition for jurisdiction and termination of parental rights and initial disposition as to respondent mother. Jurisdiction and venue. 1. Tracy Joe Browning is the biological mother of the subject minors. 2. The non-respondent legal father of the subject minors is Jeremy Wade Goodson. The subject minors are issues of the parents' marriage. 3. The subject minors may be eligible for membership in an American Indian tribe or band. Parents reported potential Native American heritage, and MDHHS is in the process of conducting an appropriate inquiry. Certified mail receipts were received by the tribes on 7/24/23 and returned to MDHHS on 7/31/23. On 8/11/23, a letter from Cherokee Nation was received stating the minor children are not Indian children. I'm going to pause here, Ms. Browning, and ask you, what, if any, tribes do you think your children may be eligible for membership in, if you know?
we're actually, my dad has a card for the Georgia Cherokee Nation. But we have to do further into steps to prove that we need my grandmother's birth certificate, etc.
Okay. What was your grandfather's name?
My grandma, Elsie Browning.
Are there any other specific tribes that you can think of that we should be inquiring into?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Clearly, we're going to need that specific tribe inquiry. All right. Here we go. Paragraph 4, the subject minors are residents of Lebanon County, currently residing in the care and custody of their non-respondent father, Jeremy Goodson. 5, the incidents of alleged abuse and neglect occurred in Lebanon County, Michigan. Factual allegations: neglect, physical, substantial risk of harm to mental well-being and unfit home environment, sexual and physical abuse and neglect. Paragraph 6, on or about 7/3/23, CPS received a complaint alleging sexual abuse, failure to protect, improper supervision, threatened harm of sexual abuse. This allegation was categorized as CAT 1. 7, on or about 7/10/23, Child Advocacy Center forensically interviewed the subject minor, MG, and she disclosed the following. MG is currently pregnant, and she listed Larry Sutherland as the father. MG reported that Larry Sutherland is her mother, Tracy Browning's current boyfriend. The family and children knew Larry Sutherland as Jerry Sutherland throughout the relationship. MG reported that on April 1st, 22, when she was 15 years old, Larry Sutherland took her to a deserted dirt road. Larry Sutherland and MG engaged in sexual intercourse. D, MG reported Larry Sutherland was physically abusive towards her brother, MG. Larry Sutherland held MG against the wall by his wrist when he was screaming at him about weightlifting equipment being left out. She reported she had to get Larry off of her brother, and he did not stop after she repeatedly told him to. Tracy Browning knew the situation and failed to protect her son from the current and future abuse. Daughter reported that there were so many sexual interactions between her and Larry within a year that she's lost count. She further reported they would wait until Tracy Browning fell asleep and would go outside to the truck or into another room and engage in sexual intercourse. Most of the sexual intercourse occurred after Larry and she smoked marijuana together. She reported her mom, Tracy Browning, would see Larry asking her to sit on his lap, touch places on her body, and hear what he was saying to her in a grooming manner. She further reported she told her mom, Tracy Browning, she was pregnant in March of 2023, a month after finding out she was pregnant. Finding out she was pregnant, Tracy Browning established a safety plan so that her daughter could not be left alone with Larry. Tracy asked her son to watch over his sister while she was away from home. And if Larry would spend the night, her daughter would sleep in her brother's room. The daughter reported her mom, Tracy Browning, and Larry Sutherland sat down to discuss the situation. Tracy stated that Larry didn't deserve to go to prison because it was consensual and they loved each other. Her daughter decided to have the baby instead of considering adoption or abortion. The daughter reported she told her teacher at school about Larry Sutherland that she was pregnant with this child. The teacher, the mother, and her daughter met. Tracy convinced the teacher not to call law enforcement or CPS because her daughter loved to carry and sexual intercourse was consensual. 8. When asked if subject minors felt safe in their home environment, the daughter reported she does not feel safe in her mother's home. She reported after being away from her mom, she could see the outside version of her mom and she does not trust her. Her son also reported he does not like being in his mom's house and feels unsafe. Both children stated they feel safe in their father's care, Jeremy Goodson. Screenshots were provided to Child Protection Services by a family member of Larry Sutherland. In the text messages, Larry confessed he was having a boy in October and that the mother is his girlfriend's daughter, who is 16. He asked for it to be kept between the family member and himself. The relationship between him and the daughter has been going on for a year, and that he and the girlfriend are still together. The three of them are going to work it out. 10. Medical records were obtained from the daughter's OBGY, Dr. Sherman. Doctor was not aware of who the child's father was, as they stated the baby's father was not involved. The daughter did test positive for marijuana at her first prenatal appointment. 7/3/23, a temporary voluntary arrangement safety plan was implemented. Tracy Browning agreed for her children to stay with their father, Jeremy Goodson, until further direction from the department. 7/4/23, Larry Sutherland messaged MG on Facebook stating, "No matter what happens to me, I just want you to know that I will always love you and the baby." On 7/5/23, Jeremy Goodson was awarded temporary custody of both children after the filing of an ex parte motion. 7/19/23, during a phone conversation with Tracy Browning, she stated she knew about her daughter smoking marijuana. She allowed Larry to stay the weekends at her home after discovering the sexual relations between Larry and her daughter. She was also aware of Larry psychically abusing Matthew, the son, and asked Larry to leave him alone. On 8/4/23, a home visit was conducted with Larry Sutherland. Larry reports staying overnight at Tracy's residence 5 days a week. Larry also reports that he and Tracy are no longer in a relationship but are currently supporting each other. 16. On 8/17/23, the department spoke with the minor children. Both children discussed that they believe their mother would benefit from mental health services. 17. Larry has a history of CSC for which he served prison time and is required to register on SORA. Tracy was aware of this and continued to permit him to reside in her home with her minor children. Statutory citations. 18. Required petition. This is a required petition for jurisdiction for policy PSM 7153, page 1617, and Child Protection Law, section 8D1E, MCL 722.628D1E. The children are unsafe with Tracy because she failed to protect them from threatened harm, abuse, physical abuse, and improper supervision. 19. Statutory grounds for adjudication. Based on the above stated allegations, jurisdiction is proper under the following subsections of MCL 7128.2B. And children are under the age of 18 and subsection A1, children's parent, when able to do so, neglects or refuses to provide proper or necessary care necessary for the children's health or morals. The children are subject to a substantial risk of harm to their mental well-being. And B2, the children's home or environment with their respondent mother by reason of neglect or depravity on the part of respondent mother and non-parent adult is an unfit place for the juveniles to live in. 20. Statutory grounds for removal. Based on the above stated allegations and pursuant to MCL 7128.13A3, removal of the children from the respondent parent's care and custody is necessary, and releasing the children to the non-respondent parent under the supervision of the department is reasonable and necessary for the children's physical health or mental well-being. 21. Aggravating circumstances. This petition to terminate parental rights at initial disposition is submitted under the mandate of MCL 722.638, which in relevant part states. A. 1A2. The department shall submit a petition for authorization by the court under MCL 712A.2. If the department determines that a person who is 18 years of age or older and who resides for any length of time in the child's home has abused the child or a sibling of the child, and the abuse included criminal sexual conduct involving penetration, attempted penetration, or assault with intent to penetrate. B2. In a petition submitted as required by subsection 1, if a parent is suspected of placing the child at an unreasonable risk of harm due to the parent's failure to take reasonable steps to intervene to eliminate that risk, the department shall include a request for termination of parental rights at the initial dispositional hearing as authorized under MCL 7128.19B. 22. Statutory grounds for termination of parental rights. Statutory grounds for termination of parental rights exist under the following subsections of MCL 712A.19B3. A.B.2. The child or sibling of the child has suffered physical injury and the parent who had the opportunity to prevent the physical injury or sexual or physical abuse failed to do so, and the court finds that there is a reasonable likelihood the child will suffer injury or abuse in the foreseeable future if placed in the parent's home. B.J. There is a reasonable likelihood based on the conduct or capacity of the child's parent that the child will be harmed if he or she is returned to the home of the parent. 23. Best interest factors. Pursuant to the best interest factors as contemplated by MCL 7128.19B5, it is in the best interest of the subject minors to terminate the parental rights of Tracy Jo Browning based on the following. A. The child's need for permanency, stability, and finality. Both children need a stable household to live in, free from the threat and harm of sexual abuse, physical abuse, improper supervision, and maltreatment. B. The child's bond to the parent. Both children have an okay bond with their mother, Tracy, but it is compromised by her inability to adequately safeguard them. C. The parent's parenting ability. Tracy Goodson has not protected her children from abuse or neglect throughout their years. Tracy can care for the children, but puts her significant others in front of her children's needs and wants. D. The parent's visitation history with the children. The visitation is suspended. Prior, the mother would stay with her mother more often, or the daughter would stay with her mother more often than the son. The children also had visitations with their father. E. The child's relationship with extended relatives. Both children have a good relationship with their adult sister and brother. They also have a good relationship with their stepmother, Lacey Goodson. These relationships would continue to be fostered in their father's home as well. F. The child's wishes. They wish to stay with their father now. G. The opinion of experts, including LGAL, therapists, case referred psychologists, etc. The department feels Tracy did not take the necessary steps to protect her children from Larry Sutherland, who is a non-compliant sex offender. Tracy allowed Larry to babysit the children, stay the night for several days a week, and have unsupervised contact with the children. Age. The child's age. Daughter 16, son 14, both of whom are of sufficient age to express an opinion as to their home environment. I, the interest in keeping siblings together. Both children will remain together with their non-respondent father and their stepmother. Relief requested. Authorize this petition for jurisdiction and termination of parental rights and initial disposition as to respondent mother. 2, issue an order removing the subject minors from the care and custody of the above named parent, releasing the minors with their legal father, Jeremy Goodson, under the supervision of the department. 3, authorize this petition for termination and initial disposition. 4, make a judicial determination that reasonable efforts to prevent removal and to reunify this family are not required pursuant to MCL 712A.19A2A, as explained in Re Rippey 330 Mishap 350 335 NW at 2D 131 2019. 5, suspend parenting time pursuant to MCL 7128.19B4. 6, set this matter for an adjudication trial and termination hearing. 7, take jurisdiction over the subject minors pursuant to MCL 712A.2B1 and 2. 8, terminate the parental rights of the above named parent pursuant to MCL 712A.19B3, 4, and 5. And 9, grant any other relief this court deems adequate and appropriate under the circumstances. Respectfully submitted August 17th, 2023 by Ms. Stasia Thomas and Amanda Jones. There is, of course, the confidential case inventory that indicates that other domestic relations case on support and custody and parenting time. There are attachments including an objection to an ex parte order granting defendant father temporary legal and physical custody. An ex parte order dated July 5th, granting temporary legal and physical custody until further order of the court to the defendant, which is the father. There's an ICWA documentation sheet indicating the United Kiowa Band of Cherokee Indians, Cherokee Nation, and Eastern Band of Cherokee Nations was subject to an inquiry. I have attached to this the registered mail receipts indicating they went out July 18th. Letter dated August 11th, 2023 from the Cherokee Nation. A green card indicating the Cherokee Nation received the inquiry July 24th. A green card indicating the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians received an inquiry July 26th, 2023. And a green card indicating the United Kiowa Band of Cherokee Indians received an inquiry July 24th, 2023, as well as a copy of the inquiry. The inquiry indicates name of the son and simply maternal and maternal sides Cherokee. So we should probably include specifically the name of the person who is potentially a member of the tribe. And I only have an inquiry sent for Matthew. So I will need confirmation that the inquiry's been done for both children. That includes, of course, the name of the relative and a specific request to the Georgia Cherokee Nation tribe, including Elsie Browning's information or as much information on Elsie Browning as you can secure in order to make sure that the tribe has had their opportunity to agree. Okay, at this point, we'll be looking at whether or not to authorize the petition. Any presentation, Mr. Emmerdale?
Thank you, Your Honor. Amanda Jones to the stand for the department.
Hey, Ms. Jones, come on up. Before we start that testimony, I do want to go through Ms. Underwood and Ms. Browning a couple more things. You certainly have the right to a trial on the allegations in the petition, and that may be within a before the bench or a jury, but you'll have to file your request for jury trial within 14 days. You have the right to an attorney. You obviously have Ms. Underwood, but if you ever are no longer able to employ her, the public defender's office would be employed on your behalf. You have the right to seek placement of your children at this hearing, and the right to admit or deny the allegations and make a statement of explanation. To exercise any of those rights, I would encourage you to talk with your attorney about that. Let me know at any time. Any questions, Ms. Browning?
No.
Very good.
What's your role in this matter?
I'm the science CPS investigator for this family.
How familiar are you with this matter?
I've been with the family investigating since July 3rd. So I've completed my investigation and I'm the one that drafted the petition.
Was my next question. So would it be fair to say you know about this case at this point to anybody else?
Yes.
Okay. As the investigator of this matter, how did you learn about the allegations contained in your petition?
We received the allegations from centralized intake on July 3rd of 2023. Did you want me to tell you? I did. Okay. So I did an unannounced home visit was conducted with Tracy and the children. At that time, the children were safety planned out of Tracy's home, pending further investigation of the department. The children were placed with their legal father, Jeremy Goodson. And then at that time, Larry was not present during that home visit. It was Tracy and her mom that lives at the home with the children.
When you say Larry, you refer to Larry Sutherland?
Correct.
I will get back to him. In your opinion, do you believe there's substantial risk of harm to the children's life, physical health, or mental well-being to remain in the custody of Ms. Browning?
Yes.
Okay. Were reasonable efforts made to prevent removal?
Yes.
Do you believe the proposed placement is the least restrictive way to ensure the children's safety?
Yes.
Does that proposed placement, to your knowledge, have any criminal history?
To my knowledge, I know they do have some criminal history. I can't speak to what it is right now.
Does it rise to the level of Larry Sutherland's criminal history?
Yes.
What's the actual allegation here?
The allegations were regarding being pregnant by her mother's boyfriend, Larry Sutherland. She was 16 at the time when I received the allegations. There was some more allegations regarding Tracy and Larry in a threesome, which during my investigation proved untrue.
Okay. Does there appear to be mental injury to the child?
Currently, there is not any indication for like professional medical.
Was there a police investigation
There
done?
was.
Okay. To your knowledge, do you know if charges were issued?
There was.
What were the charges?
Currently, Larry will be charged with failure to comply with his sex offender registry and CAC of 3rd degree.
Based on your initial research, is there a chance that CSC of 3rd degree could actually be bumped up to a CSC 1?
Based on the conversations I've had with the officer, that is, it could be possible, yes.
What's a CAC interview?
A CAC interview is an interview conducted with minor children in front of a professional that is forensically interview trained. It is video recorded. Myself and the assigned officer and a prosecuting attorney watches the interview through two-way glass.
Was a CSC interview done here?
Yes, it was.
Were disclosures made at that interview?
Yes, it was.
And then were charges brought after that?
Yes.
Okay. Are both minors with the initials MG?
Yes.
And let's be clear about the female MG. Is she the one who's actually pregnant? How old is she now?
She is 17. Yes, she is.
How old was she when she got pregnant?
16.
Did MG report to her mother that respondent Tracy Browning saw sexual interactions with her and Larry Sutherland?
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
Did MG report that her mother, Tracy Browning, saw sexual interactions with her and Larry Sutherland?
It wasn't all, I guess I'm not understanding it. So it wasn't all three of them. She knew about them. She didn't see them, no.
Question, was she aware of them?
Yes, she was aware of
Was it disclosed to her?
them. Yes, it was.
Okay, upon that being disclosed to her, did Miss Browning, to your knowledge, do anything?
No.
Did she report Larry to the police?
No.
Did she take her child in for mental health therapy?
No.
Okay, was Larry Sutherland living in the house?
So I've received a couple different numbers. He states that he was there 5 days a week. She states that he wasn't there that often. It was more on the weekend. So specific time is unknown, but he was there a lot.
And based on text messages, is there belief that he's definitely the father of his child? All right, so according to Miss Browning, did you just say that he wasn't there that often?
According to her, yes.
And according to him, what did he say?
5 days a week.
Is it accurate or is it fair to say that he had access to this child?
Yes.
Let's talk Mr. Sutherland then. What's his criminal history look like?
He has a CAC. I can't remember the degree charge. He was recently in prison and released 2 years ago.
Was he actually convicted of a sentence that included at least 7 years of prison?
Yes,
Was one of the charges assault with intent to commit sexual penetration?
yes,
Was another charge on robbery?
yes.
To your knowledge, did Ms. Browning know about these criminal charges when she let this man in her house?
To my knowledge, she states that she did not know. When he did enter the home, it was solely on fixing a bathroom. And she knew him as Jerry, not Larry. She became aware of his real name when she seen his ID when he was at the home for the first time.
Do you know if she did anything at that juncture?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Did she do anything at that juncture to your knowledge?
My John, no.
In your investigation, is there actually a confession from Mr. Sutherland that he's the father of the child?
Yes,
Were there text messages?
yes.
Can you explain what you viewed in those messages?
Larry messaged a cousin on Facebook Messenger regarding having a child and having a baby boy. He stated in there that the mother was 16 and it was his girlfriend's daughter. He also stated in there that they did have a conversation together, all three of them, regarding if they're going to do an abortion, if they're going to adopt the child, or if she's going to keep it. MG did decide to keep the child. So he was stating in there that he doesn't know how he's going to explain this to people. He also stated that he would rather be in a box than go back to prison.
Why did you file this petition?
For failure to protect and for Tracy running the sexual abuse, failure to protect because of the physical abuse, and then failure to report, or sorry, failure to protect, it would be all in one juncture.
Based on your experience, are there statutory grounds for adjudication?
At this time, there is.
And what do you think those grounds are?
The would be just the failure to protect.
Are there any aggravated circumstances you need Judge Sala to know about? Are there statutory grounds for termination of parental rights?
What are they?
No, are there?
Yes,
Okay, are you familiar with the best interest factors?
yes.
Can you explain how these determine matters in abuse and neglect cases?
The best interest would be to protect the children from any future physical or sexual abuse. Also, provide them with mental and medical health.
So while I know you're aware of these factors, I'm going to go through some things to make a record. Do you have any issue with that? Okay. Do the children have permanency, stability, and finality in the current situation if Miss Browning is the sole parent?
No.
Is there a bond with Miss Browning?
Is there what? I'm sorry?
A bond with Miss Browning?
Yes.
How would you describe that bond?
It's good. Currently it's kind of broken, but before then she did, MG did have a good bond. I know son MG had a rocky one as well, but they seem to be bonded with mom.
Does Miss Browning have proper parenting ability based on your experience in this case?
No.
What's the visitation history of any?
Currently, they do not have visitations with mom. MG, the daughter, has had contact via phone, and MG, the son, has had very little contact via phone.
Do both children want any type of visitation?
Currently, no.
Are all the children involved having a positive relationship with extended relatives? What are the wishes of the children right now, for the record?
The ages.
Now, what are the wishes?
Wishes, they wish to have their mother receive some mental health services before they would consider visiting with the mother.
Is Ms. Heist the GAL on this matter?
That's
Did she provide her insight to this with you?
not with me, no.
How old is each child?
MG, the daughter, is currently 17. MG, the son, is currently 15.
Was a safety plan ever put into place?
Yes, it was.
You elaborate on that?
The children would be placed with their legal father. There would be no visitations with the mother at this time. There would be phone conversations. We did change that to supervised phone conversations. There would be no contact with Larry. So,
Okay. Based on your history and experience, are there statutory grounds for jurisdiction? What are they?
the children would be living with the father. They would receive services.
Do you think there's substantial risk of harm to the children if they're not with dad right now?
Yes.
If the court were to authorize this petition and provide relief requested, what is the recommendation for parenting time?
Currently, there is none.
And would that remain for right now?
Yes.
Is there anything else you want to add right now based on your experience in this case?
No, I don't.
The concept of ICWA came up. Can you explain what that is?
What is ICWA?
Yeah.
It is Native American, that could be Native American heritage through a relative.
And what do you have to do when there's an ICWA situation?
We have to ask relatives or the parents for relatives information, tribes, and we have to send forms out to the tribes to inquire if they are in fact Native American heritage.
Okay. Was that done in this case?
It was done. I wanted to note as well that this was doubled in the petition. I did let Celeste know, Nastassia's secretary, that she did not put MGs in there. She was going to fix that, but that was inquired about as well.
This time, Your Honor, I have no further questions for this witness. I would ask the supporting documentation be admitted to the court record.
Thank you. They are admitted. Cross-examination is Underwood.
Yes. Is Miss Browning being charged criminally in this matter?
No,
When did Miss Browning become aware that MG was having sex with Larry Sutherland?
when she found out that she was pregnant in March of 2023,
And at that time, how old was MG?
16.
Okay. Did Tracy come up with a safety plan after she was made aware of MG being pregnant?
She did.
Okay. And is there currently an ex parte order in place suspending or actually giving Mr. Goodson temporary custody of the children?
Yes, there is.
You indicated in your testimony that there is no mental harm suffered to the children. Is that correct?
They're not diagnosed with that. There could be, yes, but they are not diagnosed with mental injury.
Okay. But you're stating that mental injury is one of the reasons for your petition for termination. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Did Miss Browning take MG to prenatal appointments to ensure she was being cared for?
Yes, she did.
If the court doesn't take jurisdiction over this matter, can CPS still provide services to the family?
They can provide it to the children, yes. And that would be considered like almost an open investigation.
Okay. If the children are in their father's custody through a court order, what is the risk of harm?
The risk of harm would be if they are with mom and they don't have any court order saying they can't, see mom or talk to mom or anything like that, they could still have visitations with mom. There could be still a risk of harm to failure to protect the children.
Okay. So if the court continues to have jurisdiction over the custody file and directs that time, is there still a risk of harm to the children?
That time there would not be.
Okay. You indicated in your petition that a teacher was convinced to not report to CPS. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you reach out to that teacher?
The officer did and spoke to her at her home.
Okay. And did the teacher indicate that she was aware that Larry Sutherland was the father?
Yes. As far as I know, that's what I read on the police report.
Okay, so that you did not reach out and contact that teacher?
No. No.
Is it possible that terminating Miss Browning's parental rights could be traumatizing to the children?
It could be.
Referring to number 22 in the petition, you're indicating that Miss Browning had the opportunity to prevent sexual abuse and failed to do so. My question is how did Ms. Browning fail to protect if she was unaware of the sexual intercourse occurring?
She failed to protect MG after she found out that she was pregnant. She had numerous, she had doctor's appointments. She could have told the doctor. She could have called law enforcement herself. Larry was still in the home. And so she failed to protect her from future sexual abuse.
But at that time, MG is at the age of consent, is that correct?
I'm sorry, what was that?
But at that point in time, MG was at the age of consent?
At that time, I'm guessing the age of consent is 16. She was, but she still failed to protect her and to make sure that Larry wasn't going to sexually abuse her.
Okay. In MG's interview, did she indicate that the sex was consensual?
She did, but when it first started, she was 15.
But again, you've indicated that my client was unaware of that intercourse occurring prior to her turning 16, correct?
Correct.
You also indicated in the petition that Ms. Goodson had failed to protect her children from abuse and neglect throughout their years. Can you elaborate on what you meant by throughout their years?
With my investigation, I did ask the children, about their relationship with their mother. I did ask the adult children as well. They clearly stated that her children's best interest was not forefront when she was dating different men, that their needs and wants were the children's needs and wants were on the kind of back burner, and she would choose her current boyfriends at that time.
So you weren't referring to the volatile marriage then between Tracy and Mr. Goodson?
I wasn't referring to that. I was referring to after that, when she was dating other men and around the children. I know of the volatile relationship and the domestic violence with that, the marriage and the divorce.
Are there concerns that the children are in a safe placement if there's a history of domestic violence?
The children are currently safe. There is a history of domestic violence, but currently there is no risk of harm that regards domestic violence at this time.
Is there a CPS history with Mr. Goodson?
There is.
And what is that CPS history?
It was regarding a domestic violence dispute with him and Tracy. There was concerns regarding substance use for both of them. And there was, I don't have it right in front of me, so correct me if I'm wrong. There was some concerns regarding Jeremy's mental health at the time. But that was several years ago. I can't pinpoint the exact year.
Okay, you also indicated that there's a criminal history of Mr. Goodson or the people in the current home. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And the criminal matters are not a concern with regards to the children being safe in his care?
No, they're not.
I don't have any further questions.
Okay, Ms. Heiss?
Thank you. In your pleadings, there's an objection to the ex parte custody order awarding father custody. Do you know the resolution of that objection?
I do not. I know Dad was awarded custody of the children. I don't know about the objection part.
You know about an objection because it's in your pleadings, right? You just don't know the outcome. So in addition to the child being under the age of consent when the sexual intercourse started, there's also a violation of a parental figure, an adult who is in charge of her, violating that role in having inappropriate contact with the child, correct?
Correct.
So the mother's duty to protect the child included knowing that Larry has a history of this, correct?
Correct.
So although she didn't know that, she may not have known that it was happening with her child, she knew that she was leaving her 15-year-old and that child's brother home alone with a person with that history, correct?
Correct.
She knew that Larry had recently been to prison.
As far as I'm understanding, yes, correct.
And this man, before mother found out, he was in and out of the house either 5 days a week or on weekends, right?
Correct.
After mother found out, which was, did you say in March?
Yes.
So he continued to visit the house overnight, correct?
Yes.
And at that point, was it still 5 days or weekends, depending on who you talked to?
Yeah, it depended on who I talked to.
So the children were left alone still when mother worked.
Yes.
So mother was employed outside of the home, and the way she protected the children while she was away is to ask the girl to sleep in her brother's room if Larry was there overnight, correct?
Correct. And have the son be present when Mackenzie and Larry were together too.
Okay, so after March, when mom found out, CPS, didn't become involved until, I think you said July 3rd, right?
Correct.
So in those months, March, April, May, June, there was no complaint to the police, correct?
No.
Is it correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I did a double negative there. So the teacher conversation that did not result in a CPS complaint, correct?
That is correct.
It seems, is it true that mother, it looks like her safety plans for the family had some basis in whether the intercourse was consensual. Is that true?
Is that how she came up with the safety plan? I guess I don't understand your question.
It sounds like after she knew in March, her planning revolved around the idea that the child consented to the acts. Is that true?
That is true. Yep.
And that the child and the boyfriend of the mother had some kind of a love relationship. Is that true?
Yes.
The young man, the son, suffered physical abuse at the hands of Larry. Is that true? He's alleged that to you?
Yes.
Did you see any marks?
I did not.
Because the assault had been quite a long time prior, correct?
Correct.
Does that young man indicate to you that physical aggression from Larry was regular or isolated in time?
That was an isolation.
Okay. Did that child know, the young man, did he know that he was in charge of protecting his sister from Larry?
At that time, I'm not sure. I think he was aware of the safety plan. I just don't know if he actually knew like his roles because he is younger.
So when you indicated that the bond between the young lady and her mother was present before the removal, would you say that was a healthy bond?
I can't really say. I didn't know them before everything kind of came to surface.
Well, if you were looking at a text,
what I've been told, yes.
So if you were looking in a textbook in a mother-daughter relationship with this kind of thing going on, and the daughter doesn't confide in mother, doesn't trust mother, doesn't believe mother will protect her, so she doesn't say anything when sex with an adult is happening more times than she can count, that still qualifies for a good bond?
No.
And both children were in school at the time leading up to your investigation. They were in school in person, correct?
Correct.
And the young man, the son, was staying with his father more than he was staying with his mother. Is that true?
Correct.
So now dad has this ex parte custody order. There may be an objection pending or not. We'll get to that. But does the ex parte order address what kind of visits the mother would be having?
It does, I just can't remember what it says off the top of my head. I don't know at this time.
Okay.
I know they've
and
been
then-
abiding by the safety plan of no, not having visits with mom.
Okay, now have you safety planned around there being other kinds of communication between the two children and their mother?
Yes, to have it supervised.
Okay, if they're texting and talking and by telephone, is that a violation of the safety plan?
That would be yes.
So you recommend that there be no unsupervised contact, correct?
Correct.
Would you agree if the young lady wanted her mother pregnant for the birth, if she wanted that still when the birth comes, would you agree to allow that to happen, considering it's in a hospital with professional staff and people who are experienced?
I would feel better if there was somebody else that could be present all the time, because I know staff would be away from the room. If that's her wishes, if that's MG's wishes, that she still wants her mother there, as long as there's another adult present, that would be fine.
So maybe her stepmother, for example, or a friend.
Or her adult sister, if she, whichever one she chose.
Thank you, Your Honor. That is all my questions.
Any redirect?
Is it true that hearings were postponed because petitions were being filed?
Correct, that's right, yes, sorry. It's been,
I kept hearing Ms. Underwood mention about consent and age. Was Mr. Sutherland in a parental position of authority over this child?
I mean, he wasn't the father, like her father, does that make sense? But he did live in the home. He was there when Tracy was not present, so.
Let me reword it. Was he an adult that had control over this child when Ms. Browning was not present?
Correct, yes.
And isn't it true that the age of consent is 18 in those situations?
And in ours, yes,
And isn't that why he was charged with a 15-year felony
correct.
for impregnating this child? And isn't it true that he could actually be charged with a CSC1 because pregnancy is deemed an injury? If the prosecutor's office wants to make it a mandatory 25-year felony, they could.
They could, yes.
Now, is it accurate that Ms. Browning allowed this man who was a sex offender into the house to commit this act?
Yes.
Did Mr. Goodson ever bring a sex offender to the house, to your knowledge?
No.
Okay, nothing further, thanks.
Any recross, Ms. Underwood, Ms. Heiss?
Yes. Ms. Jones, does Tracy's mother live in the home, in her home?
Does, yes.
Okay. And is it fair to say that Tracy's mother was present in the home at all times?
When I spoke to her, she kind of stated she just stays to herself. She wasn't aware of who Larry was or his criminal history or anything like that.
But was Tracy's mother present in the home when Tracy, I'm sorry?
She was there, yes, but I don't know, like, if she was there consistently. I don't know if, she goes out, or how often she was there.
Did you ask her how often she was in the home?
Well, object, asked and answered several times now.
I don't think she's asked the question of whether or not she asked the grandmother.
Fair enough, Judge.
I did not. I just asked her if she lived there.
Okay, so it's fair to say that it's quite possible that Tracy's mother could have been in the home at the time that Mr. Sutherland was there as well.
We could, yes, she was there, but she was unaware of what was occurring in the home as well. So she wouldn't been aware of to watch for certain things, or she wasn't aware of the safety plan that she made with the son MG.
Okay, is it fair to say that Tracy was not leaving her children home alone because Tracy's mother was in the home?
that is fair statement, yes.
No further questions.
Ms. Heiss, any recross?
Would you admit that the Mr. Sutherland is the person who directed the children to do their chores?
I am not sure.
So you don't know if he had authority over the children when mother was at work?
I would think he would have authority, but I don't know about the chores part.
Okay, and then what are some examples of authority that he had?
I can't say specifically the authorities, but I would speculate, like saying no to them, if they need food or anything to help them with that. I can't say specifically like what authority he had.
Can you say what grandmother was there to do? Was she there to cook or to take children to appointments, or what was the division of labor? No?
I don't know.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. May return.
Your Honor, may I have a sidebar?
Okay, all right. So what that means is we're going to take a brief recess. And if you're not an attorney, get an agreement that appears to have been reached between the parties. I have before me a proposed custody and parenting time order. So I look forward to the testimony on these points. Appearances, please.
Good afternoon.
Oh, Ms. Heisper, we welcome you on this file, but I just wanted to remind you that we're actually in the divorce case right now rather than the abuse and neglect.
Nicole Underwood on behalf of the plaintiff Tracy Brown.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Erin Berger here on behalf of Father Jeremy.
All right, I think we're going to have to ask you to get a little closer to your microphone there, Ms. Berger. It's cutting in and out a little bit. Do we have Mr. Jeremy Goodson?
Yes.
Thank you. Your name for the record?
Jeremy Goodson.
Thank you very much. All right, Ms. Underwood?
Judge, I did only provide print one copy of that order just in case it wasn't correct, so I may need to take that back if I'm going to read it onto the record.
If you wouldn't mind, let me know how you'd like to approach. Do you want to put your client under oath? How do you want to handle this?
Your Honor, I think as long as Ms. Berger has confirmed that this is an agreeable order, I would propose that I read it onto the record and then swear my client in to ask that she.
Would you mind coming to the podium so we can make sure we've got you right next to my microphone?
All right, so the order will include that the plaintiff shall withdraw her objection to the ex parte order that was suspending her parenting time and giving primary physical custody and legal custody to the defendant. The defendant shall have sole legal and sole physical custody of the party's minor children until further order of the court, consistent with the best interests of the children. The plaintiff shall continue participating in counseling and mental health services. The plaintiff's parenting time shall be suspended until the following have been successfully completed. A, actively participate in domestic violence treatment and follow all recommendations. B, attend and participate in a complete psychological evaluation and follow all recommendations. C, maintain a home environment without Larry Sutherland on the premises. D, actively participate in and benefit from a parenting education class. 5 is to, upon completion of the requirements of paragraph 4 above, the plaintiff may petition the court for parenting time. Number 6, the plaintiff shall not have contact with the minor children until further order of the court. 7, notwithstanding the above, the plaintiff may attend the birth of MG's child if that is MG's expressed wish, so long as another adult other than the medical staff is present to supervise, and the defendant father shall notify the plaintiff of the same. So if the minor child wishes to have her mom present, then defendant father will notify her of that, since there is no contact right now. Number 8, the plaintiff shall continue to cooperate with MDHHS while ongoing services are being provided. And then number 9, the petition for termination in the NA case shall be dismissed. And that is the full order as presented.
Yes, Your Honor, I have been able to review that and I'm in agreement with the same as well as my client.
Okay, would you like to confirm that with your client?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Jeremy, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear the agreement that Miss Underwood read onto the record?
Yes.
And did you participate in reaching that agreement today?
Yes.
Did anybody force, threaten, or coerce you to get you to enter into that agreement today?
No.
And you're doing it of your own free will?
Yes.
And you understand that the petition for termination of Ms. Browning's parental rights is going to be dismissed? And you're okay with that?
Yes.
And do you believe that this order is in the best interest of children?
For right now, yes.
Okay, I have no other questions for you, but some of the other attorneys, okay?
Any questions, Ms. Underwood? No. Thank you for your testimony. You may have a seat.
Tracy, you heard the agreement that I placed on the record just a few minutes ago, correct?
Yes,
Okay. You had an opportunity to review it prior to me reading it onto the record?
yes,
And you understand that at this time that this agreement is in the best interest of your children?
yes,
Do you agree to abide by all of the terms of this agreement?
yes.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any questions, Ms. Berger?
None, Your Honor.
Well, the court finds that both of our interested parties have waived notice for purposes of today's hearing. There is a current child custody dispute that is pending in this case. It was formerly assigned to Judge Ansel and reassigned to this court, given that there was also an abuse and neglect case filed. The court accepts the stipulation of the parties. I further find that it is in the best interest of the children as a result of the filing of the abuse and neglect case and the facts contained therein. It is clear that safety and stability of these two children are best served by the award of custody, legal and physical, to their father at this time, with the restrictions that have been put in place for the mother moving forward as she may want parenting time or contact with the children in the future. These are outlines that target the concerns that were raised in the abuse and neglect case, including her failure to keep the children safe from a partner who subjected the children to potentially some very serious sexual abuse, manipulation, and physical abuse. So there are certainly specific factors that pertain to those particular set of facts. It also reflects, by the nature of the fact that it doesn't terminate her parental rights at all, acknowledgement that there is a bond between this parent and his children, and hope that she will be able to take advantage of some of these services and become a resource to her children potentially in the future. So for all those reasons, I do find it appropriate, and I am entering the order as requested. This will also, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, resolve all outstanding issues in that custody case for the time being. Is that accurate, ladies?
That's correct.
Yep.
Is that in the order that you have drafted there?
Judge, I do have that my client shall withdraw her objection to the ex parte order, so I think that should clear it up.
Unless there's any questions.